Aries, welcome to your April 2026 horoscope. My name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer. This is a very important month for you because we have a major focus on your first house, your second house, and your third house. This month is really about identity, direction, confidence, money, self worth, communication, and decisions about your future path. April is a turning point month. There are new beginnings, but there are also reality checks and course corrections happening at the same time. So think of April as a month where you are reintroducing yourself to the world, but you're doing it wiser than before. I am going to break this down week by week so you can get a really good understanding of how to work with these energies instead of feeling like they are just happening to you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy this content. Now let's get into it. I've selected a chart for each week to give you a bit of a visual. So on the first, we have the full moon in Libra. On April 3rd, we have Mercury forming a trine to Jupiter, and this is the final trine between Mercury and Jupiter because of that Mercury retrograde. We also have Venus forming a square to Pluto. On the 5th, we have the Sun forming a square to Jupiter, and then April 6th, we have Venus forming a sextile to the north node and a trine to the south node. So let's get into this. So on the first, we have that full moon in Libra here in your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, clients, and other people. Full moons bring culminations, clarity, and emotional realizations. And so something about your relationships may be coming to a head. You may be reaching a turning point within a relationship. There could be something about a relationship that is becoming very clear to you. There could be an ending or an evolving of a current partnership. There could be a leveling up in a sense. Because the sun is in your first house and the moon is in your seventh house, this is the axis of self versus others. And so the question is, are the relationships in your life supporting the person you are becoming? This could be romantic partnerships, business partnerships, even friendships or clients, all of those really close one on one connections. The best way to navigate this energy is have honest conversations with anything that is showing up at this time. Pay attention to emotional reactions. Notice where you are overcompromising. Notice where you need stronger boundaries. And notice who truly supports you. This full moon is about relationship balance and relationship truth. If you want to take a deeper dive into the full moon, I have a separate forecast on my channel and I go into the chart for the full moon and also into all 12 rising signs. You can check that out. Now, on April 3rd, we have Mercury in Pisces forming a trine to Jupiter in Cancer. And so Mercury is here in your 12th house, forming a trine to Jupiter in your fourth house. And this is a really beautiful water trine. And for you, this is happening between your 12th house of healing, subconscious intuition, and your fourth house of home, emotional foundation, and your private life. This is the final Mercury Jupiter trine. So, whatever you've been sitting with around home, family, property, real estate, your private life, and your deep emotional world, and your 12th house of the subconscious intuition and healing, whatever you've been sitting with, you finally gain clarity and understanding. This is something you've been sitting with, I would say, for about 2 months, because the first time we had this trine was back in February. And then we had the Mercury retrograde. So there's something about home, family, something even maybe going on behind the scenes that you've been contemplating. That is, there's finally a decision or an understanding or clarity. You may even be understanding something that you were confused about before. You may be having a realization about your past or having a healing conversation with a family member. You can also gain clarity about where you want to live or what you need emotionally. You could also be receiving a lot of intuitive insight at this time about your life direction. This is a day I would pay attention to your intuitive downloads. I would definitely journal, listen to your intuition, pay attention to your dreams. This is a closure and understanding transit. And then we have Venus forming a square to Pluto. So Venus is in your second house of money, self-worth, and values, and Pluto is in your 11th house of friendships, social circles, networks, your future goals. So this can bring pressure with money. This can bring power struggles with friends. This could be feeling undervalued. This could be issues around lending friends money. This could, again, be friendships that are testing your values, are testing your, making you feel even devalued, like hitting you in a self-worth area where you're feeling like they don't value your worth. This is a self-worth transformation transit. So something can be triggered here that is pushing you to reevaluate your friendships, to possibly let friendships go. This could even have to do with pricing. And if you have like an online business or you do something with social media, this could be you reevaluating your prices. What you want to make sure you're not doing at this time is undercharging and overgiving. And then we get to April 5th and we have the Sun square Jupiter. So this is happening between your first house and your fourth house. So your first house is you, identity, and the fourth house is your home, your family, your emotional foundation. And this can feel like doing too much, overcommitting. This could be conflict between work and home. There could be big decisions that you're having to make at this time, or this could be big confidence, but also possible overconfidence. When we have these squares to Jupiter, sometimes we tend to overpromise, but we can't necessarily deliver on those promises. We've got in way over our head in a sense. You want to be careful and you want to make sure that you are not burning yourself out. You're not draining yourself, doing too much at this time. And then on the 6th, we have Venus forming a sextile to the north node and a trine to the south node here. So this is very fated, very karmic. And this is Venus that is in your second house of money, finances, and material possessions. This is about aligning with the right income path, using your natural talents, letting go of old financial patterns. There could be a lot surfacing at this time, pushing you into a new direction that's very fated, very karmic. The trine to the south node is letting something go in a sense. This could even be because the south node is in that sixth house. This could be changing your daily routine in some way, changing work habits, focusing or changing something about your health in order to create more possibilities and opportunities for your future path. This could even look like letting go of old financial patterns. You definitely want to be paying attention to opportunities or people that you're meeting on this day. Any financial decisions that you are, anything that's showing up around your finances. And this could even be too becoming aware of new ideas for income or new streams of income. This is a course correction toward your destiny, especially when it has to do with finances. All right. And then we get to the second week of April. And on the 9th, we have Mercury finally leaving shadow. So this is Mercury exiting that whole Mercury retrograde phase that we've been in for a couple of months now. We have Mars entering Aries. On the 13th, we have the Mars Neptune conjunction. And on the 14th, we have Mercury entering Aries. So this week is about you, your identity, your direction, your confidence, your personal path. On April 9th, we have Mercury finally ending that retrograde phase. And this is where we finally gain clarity, understanding. We finally make decisions. Plans are finally in motion. This is a green light moment, especially with anything you've been sitting with over the last couple of months. And then we have Mars entering your first house. And this is really big for you because Mars is your chart ruler. So when Mars enters your first house, this you have an increase in your energy. There's an increase in your motivation, increase in your confidence. You start to take action. You become more visible. You become more assertive. You can decide to reinvent yourself in some way. This is a personal new beginning for you. This is when you start to finally set things in motion. And then we get to April 13th and we have Mars conjunct Neptune in Aries in your first house. And so this is a very spiritual but confusing transit. Mars is action, Neptune is dreams, spirituality, illusion, creativity. And so this can feel like being inspired, or this can be great for creativity and spiritual practices. This is where you can get motivated by a dream, but also this can create confusion with something. You could feel a little bit more tired, have a little bit less direction. This can also create you to be confused about your next steps with something. This is a vision transit. So, this is great to tap into if you are diving into your intuition or you're doing something spiritual or creative. But if you are trying to gain that momentum or motivation or drive, that's where it can become a little bit tricky. And so, this may be a day that you just want to kind of relax and lay low. And then we get to April 14th and we have Mercury entering Aries, bringing more focus to that first house. This is when your voice comes back. Now you're speaking, now you're deciding, now you're making decisions. This is about speaking up for what you want. This can also have to do with marketing or content creation. This could be big announcements, or this could have to do with your branding. This could also have to do with reintroducing yourself in some way or saying what you really think. This is a powerful communication period for you having Mercury in the first house. And then we get to week 3, and we have on the 16th, the Sun conjunct Chiron, Mercury conjunct Neptune. On the 17th, we have our new moon in Aries, your sign. On the 19th, we have the Sun entering Taurus, Mars forming a conjunction to Saturn, which is going to be interesting. That's in your first house. And then on the 20th, we have Mercury conjunct Mars. And so let's break this down. And so this is probably the most important week of the month for you. On April 16th, when we have the Sun conjunct Chiron, this is identity healing. You may be healing confidence wounds or a fear of being seen, a fear of failure, fear of success, feel a fear of feeling misunderstood, or you could be dealing with feeling not good enough or something with an old identity. This is about becoming who you really are, not who you had to be to survive, if that makes sense. Chiron is the wounded healer. This has to do with vulnerabilities, traumas. And so this could be a day where you are forced to look at something. And then on April 17th, we have your new moon in Aries at 27 degrees. And so you want to check your ascendant degree point, because the closer you are to that 27 degrees, the more intense this is going to feel. This is going to be personal for all you Aries risings, but it's going to be more intense the closer your ascendant degree point is to 27 degrees. This is your personal new year, your reset, your rebirth. So set intentions around identity, personal goals, business, your body, your health, confidence, your personal branding, or your life direction. This is one of the most important new moons of your year. I mean, this is your new moon. This is literally your personal new year time to set those goals and set those intentions. And then when we get to the 19th, the Sun is going to enter your second house of money, income, stability, and self worth. And so this is when you may become more focused on money, more focused on finances. This is when you can start to build that solid financial foundation. Also on the 19th, we have Mars forming a conjunction to Saturn. This is a serious transit. This is about discipline, commitment, long term effort. This is not fast success. This is about building something that is real and long lasting. Saturn is about responsibility, accountability, discipline, commitment. And Mars is your chart ruler, bringing the motivation, the willpower, the drive, the action to start moving forward with something. Now, on the other spectrum, this could be where you are feeling, you could be dealing with some things on your body like muscle aches, muscle pains, because that first house rules the body. So this is a day just to be a little bit cautious, because it could go one of two ways. This could be a day where you are super motivated, you're making really big decisions that have to do with your life direction, but it could also be a day where you're experiencing pains or muscle aches or something along those lines. And then on April 20th, we have Mercury conjunct Mars in your first house. This is bold communication, bold decisions, bold moves. Be careful with arguments and speaking too fast, impulsive decisions, being impulsive, being impatient. You can be making decisions based on internal motivations. This Mercury conjunct Mars can be finally giving you that motivation to move forward with something, to make decisions with something, to finally take action. And then we get to the final week of the month. And on the 23rd, we have Venus forming a conjunction to Uranus And then on the 23rd, 24th, Venus enters Gemini. I put this because it literally happens at midnight where I'm at. And so depending on your time zone, it's either going to be the 23rd or the 24th. And then on the 25th, we have Uranus entering Gemini, which is huge. And I will be posting a separate forecast going really deep into this energy and how this is affecting all 12 rising signs. Also on the 25th, we have the Sun square Pluto. On the 26th, we have Mercury square Jupiter, Venus sextile Neptune. On the 28th, we have Venus trine Pluto. And then on the 29th, we end the month with a Venus T square to the nodes. And so let's get into this. So on the 23rd, Venus is going to form a conjunction to Uranus here in your second house. I know in the chart, Uranus here is already in your third house because I wanted to get this chart after Uranus enters Gemini. But at this point, Uranus is still going to be at these late degrees here, at the end degree, actually, in your second house of your money, your finances, material possessions. And so this could bring unexpected situations with money, unexpected expenses, new income opportunities. This is when you can change your values, change your pricing in some way. This is where you can change how you make money. This is financial change and financial freedom energy. I would be careful of spending. This is where you can accidentally spend too much on something. So, where it can bring in really sudden opportunities, it can also bring in a lot of unexpectedness to around finances and money to just be a little bit cautious of. And then we get to the 23rd or 24th, and Venus is going to enter Gemini here in your third house. So, this is bringing focus to communication, social media, teaching, writing, speaking, marketing, courses, digital products, siblings, cousins, neighbors, all those third house themes and topics. Now is when you could be spending money on these themes and topics or focusing more. This is actually really good for content creation, doing something around reading, speaking, writing. This could be when maybe you're spending more time with your siblings or neighbors. This could also be when you maybe purchase a car or a vehicle because the third house rules vehicles and cars and local travel. And then we get to the 25th and Uranus enters Gemini. This is a major life change transit because Uranus is a outer planet, and when these outer planets change signs, sometimes, yes, we feel them more personally, but it's more of a collective energy. And these outer planets tend to bring change over a period of time, not one day or 1 week or 1 month or even 1 year. It's like a period of time. So Uranus takes about 8 years to transit a sign. So Uranus in your third house is going to change your mind in some way, how you're communicating, your local environment, possibly siblings, cousins, neighbors, all of those third house themes and topics are up for review, up for change. Uranus brings awakenings, enlightenment, suddenness, unexpected situations. Uranus is very innovative and it can be about a reinvention of this area of life in some way. And then also on the 25th, we have the Sun here in your second house square Pluto in your 11th. And this is where there can be power and control issues around friendships, money, values. There could be some type of big changes or changes due to pressure with finances and maybe groups you're connected to or friendships. That 11th house is all the groups and associations that you're connected to, social circles. So there could be something intense that you're having to address or something that is showing up that's pushing you to make a change. It's change due to pressure. And then on the 26th, we have Mercury square Jupiter. And so Mercury is in your first house, squaring Jupiter in your fourth. This is where you want to be careful of overwhelm. Mercury also rules your third house of your mind. This is where you could be overthinking or not able to slow your mind down. You could be mentally overwhelmed at this time. So just be a little aware of that. This is where you want to make sure you're not over promising, over committing, and getting yourself in way over your head. You could also be having some really important conversations with family members. And then also on the 26th, we have Venus sextile Neptune. And so Venus here in your third house forming a sextile to Neptune in your first. This is really good for creative projects, marketing, content creation. This could be a really intuitive day. Venus also ruling your second house of money and seventh house of relationships. This could also be, it is possible this could be bring confusion with relationships or confusion with money, but it can also bring different paths for a different direction in some sense around your money and your relationships. And then on the 28th, we have Venus trine Pluto. And so Venus again in your third house, forming a trine to Pluto in your 11th. This is powerful for money, audience growth, influence, business, networking. This can also be very transformational for your relationships. This could be a really powerful move with relationships, like something is really transforming within a current partnership. This is also a very magnetic energy. This could be when you can literally draw in money, like manifest money in. This would be a really good day actually to do that because Venus rules your second house. Pluto is a very magnetic energy, very deep, very intense, very magnetic. So when we have certain planets connecting to Pluto, we can literally utilize that for manifestation. This would be a really good day to bring some money in. And then on the 29th, we have Venus T squaring the nodes. And this is where things get a little bit tricky because when we have a T square to the nodes, this is literally having to make a choice, or there's two paths ahead of us, and we're needing to make a choice, whether it's because there's pressure or tension, there is a decision that needs to be made. And for you, this is the South Node in your sixth house of work, health, daily routine, your habits, and the 12th house of things, people, places that are hidden, the subconscious, endings. And the North Node is in the 12th house. And so you may be having to let go of something in this area to go in a new direction in this area. There's a new faded direction taking place in your 12th house that you've been navigating for over a year now. And there may be something about your daily habits or your daily routine or your health that you're having to change in order to do that. And this is when it finally comes to a head. So, Aries, this month is a turning point month for you. This month is about rebuilding yourself, starting a new chapter, healing your identity, taking yourself seriously, changing your income in some way, changing your direction in some way, using your voice and building something long term. And the decisions that you make this month will shape the rest of your year. So, Aries, I hope this helps you navigate the energy for this month. If you would like to order a pre recorded reading from me, I have all the information in the description below. I structure my readings very much how I structure my YouTube videos with the chart, only it's your chart instead of a lunation chart or a monthly chart. And I walk you through your transits and all of your energy. So not only is it a reading, but it is a teaching and learning tool that you can keep forever. So if you would like to order or book that, the information is in the description below. You can also join the Cosmic Circle on Patreon, where I have bonus and exclusive content and episodes to the podcast. And speaking of the podcast, Adina's Diary, if you are struggling from toxic relationships, narcissistic abuse, narcissistic recovery, check out Adina's Diary podcast. I talk about my story, and I also offer guidance and support on my Patreon. I have PDF guides to different things. The PDF guides are really for the stalking part of it because I've dealt with a lot of psychological warfare and digital stalking. And so I've made a bunch of PDFs to help others who are going through the same. And so if that's something that aligns with you or resonates or something you're going with, make sure you check that out. And the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube. So it's right here on this channel too if you want to listen. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a fabulous month. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content. And I will connect with you in the next one.